Sony is screwing the Switch by holding hostage the Epic Games account of players that dared to play Fortnite on the PS4 first to not carry over all of the achievements progress and, most importantly, items that people fucking paid for when they attempt to use it on the freshly announced Nintendo version of the game. At E3, Nintendo revealed that the biggest game in the world is getting a port on its platform, yet when gamers tried to use their Epic Games accounts that were originally created on the PS4, an error message stating, quote,
"This Fortnite account is associated with a platform which does not allow it to operate on Switch. Neither the Fortnite website nor Epic customer service are able to change this. To play Fortnite on Switch, please create a new account."
Clearly, the developers of Fortnite are quick to throw Sony, spelled with a $, under the bus here for not allowing the transfer of a player's account to their new platform. This means that not only will that person need to go through the hassle of creating a brand new account just for this one platform for absolutely no reason other than a shitty design decision that's out of their control, but players that do actually create a new account will lament over the fact that they're not leveling up their battle pass on their clearly more time invested one, and thus have more incentive to abandon the new one they just created because they don't want to go through the carrot dangling grind all over again. One of the reasons why Fortnite is the most popular game on the planet right now, besides the fact that your account transfers between platforms, is crossplay, whereby if you have friends that don't have the same platform as you do, you could still play with each other. With two exceptions, of course. Xbox and Sony can't commingle, although I'm not sure if you can get around this if you have a PC or mobile player as the party host, as well as Sony and Nintendo Switch. Notice the trend there? Epic Games accidentally enabled the ability to have Xbox and Sony not pretend like they're on either side of the gym at a middle school dance, but then disabled it after a few hours of accidentally making the patch live, meaning that it's definitely possible to have these kids actually dance with one another, but it's being turned off on purpose. And based on the current situation and messages from both the Xbox and Sony camps on the ability of crossplay, it's clear who is driving this lack of functionality. So, what gives, Sony? The only rational explanation that I can come up with for why Sony is doing this fuckery is because it knows that the majority of people have their hardware and not the VCR or the Switch, since they did write this console generation during the initial launch, so they've got more players on their platform. They can get away with doing this because it affects a smaller number of people than if Sony was not the top dog, and Sony is playing hardball here by banking on the fact that someone with a VCR or Switch can't play with their friends that are those Sony ponies, so those people will pony up, pun intended, for a PlayStation to get Sony even more sales revenue so that those plebs with the inferior consoles will be able to play with their buddies. It's a bet that Sony is doubling down on with their non-response to this controversy here.
We're always open to hearing what the PlayStation community is interested in to enhance their gaming experience. With more than 80 million monthly users active on PlayStation Network, we built a huge community of gamers who could play together on Fortnite and all online titles. We also offer Fortnite crossplay support with PC, Mac, iOS, and Android devices, expanding the opportunity for Fortnite fans on PS4 to play with even more gamers on other platforms. We have nothing further to add beyond this at this point.
Wow, that's a fucked up last sentence. Basically, go fuck yourself, San Diego, if you don't have a console made by Sony. I could sort of understand the strat for Sony not wanting to have those plebs of the VCR leech onto the fact that Sony has a much bigger player base since Microsoft's Xbox is in direct competition with Sony's PlayStation, and Xbox kind of fucked up at launch compared with Sony. The problem becomes that this gamble by Sony flies in the face of the fact that Xbox's latest 4K console, the X, is more powerful than the PS4 Pro, and one could kind of argue that Xbox's live service offers a better value and quality than Sony's PlayStation Plus, so why would people that do not have a PlayStation pick that console over the current Microsoft offering? People that already have the Xbox One X aren't going to downgrade for the sake of gaming with their friends, and people with the original VCR like me aren't going to shell out money for the X, so why in the fuck would they do the same for another goddamn console? It becomes even more bemusing when you compare the PlayStation and the Switch. Sure, the Switch is in fact a console, but considering the buying demographics here, they're selling to two different types of audiences. The Switch can be taken on the go with you, even if it can be plugged into a TV or monitor, like the PlayStation, and the ports of the games on the Switch are inferior to those on the PS4, like Fortnite that only runs at 30 FPS max on the Switch versus 60 FPS on the PS4, never mind the graphic fidelity difference, so the target audiences for these pieces of hardware don't really overlap all that much. People that do own a Switch have it for the reason of it being both handheld and a capable but underwhelming console, which isn't the same as what Sony is offering with the PS4. So then why, Sony, would you think people would just say, fuck it, I'm gonna buy a PS4 to play with my Fortnite friends, when they wouldn't get a PS4 in the first place if they're a gamer that likes to play on the go and the PS4 doesn't fulfill that fucking need? Understandably, Fortnite players are fucking furious with the fact that this is a major detail of not having your Epic Games account work if you've ever played on the PS4 at all, which was nowhere in the announcement materials because at the time, Nintendo didn't realize that this type of fuckery was gonna take place, and nobody's got a goddamn time machine to go back and not use their account on the PS4. This problem lies directly at the feet of Sony and their anti-consumer bullshit philosophy that they think that people will run out and go buy a PS4 to play with their friends, in spite of the fact that they now have inferior hardware compared with the Xbox and lack of mobility compared with the Switch. If anything, this will have a Streisand effect, or would it be anti-Streisand effect because people will stop playing it on their Sony platform. Anyways, even when Nintendo, the people that are ass backwards on things like content creation for the YouTube train, said about the fiasco, quote, "What competitors do is their decision to make. We believe that being both developer forward and fan forward is in the best interest of the game." Ouch! Apply ice to that burn, Sony. Well, at least this time it's not Epic Games' fault for having a sleazy method of filing away your payment information with an obfuscated way of removing it from your account so it's ripe for the taking of people that have password generators, and then turning around and blaming it on those very same people that purportedly fall for V-Bucks scams on splash screens. Yes, that's actually happened, yet they've taken zero of the measures in my previous video to actually address the root cause of the problem. Sorry, I got on a tangent there, but this time it's all Sony's doing, and at least in this case, I can't also blame the publisher like I can for Call of Duty's twat waffleness that's been occurring lately. I'm looking at you, Activision. What do you guys think about this? I've been the Schwantz27, making like a banana and splitting. Until next time.